Good morning, everyone. How's everyone doing? Welcome to another stream in this beautiful Sunday morning. Couple of updates on last week. No, actually, we all know what happened last week. But this week, we are going to start with something new. And we are going to work on the owners panel. Now, I did mention that we might do something crazy with the owners panel, like creating a Breeze project and then incorporating pieces of Filament into that panel or into that project. But in analyzing it a little bit better, I thought that that might throw us off too much out of the road and into a completely different route that we are right now. So in an effort to keep things a bit simpler, I decided to instead work on test-driven development on the owners panel, and we are going to drive the development of the owners panel using tests. And I think that's going to be a lot more interesting to see. Let's see, how do we have here? I'm gonna call you Hat because I can't pronounce the beginning of that of your name, but yeah. Hello, welcome to the stream. I'm very happy. Jeez, I forgot how to talk. Very happy to have you here, and thank you for joining us. It's Sunday, 10:30 a.m. Awesome idea, Amit. How you doing? How you doing, my friend? Good to see you around. Where are you? It's 10, so you're 1 hour ahead of me. You must be in the US, I'm assuming. Okay, so yeah, we are going to do test-driven development on the owners panel. Let me show you what I have planned for today. First, I need to get some things out of the way regarding the admin panel, because I do want to... Why am I so out of frame? Hold on a second. That's what happens when you move things around during a Saturday, when you're testing out stuff and things like that. I didn't like the way the camera was too high up, so I took it down a little bit, but then I moved the tripod, and now I was completely out of frame. I'm from Indonesia. Really? Interesting that you are Sunday 10 p.m. I didn't get that. Sorry. You're way ahead of me. Okay, hi to you all the way to Indonesia. Thank you for being here. So yeah, this is what I have for today. I want to take care of the filters that I wanted to showcase last week but didn't have time. So we're going to create a couple of filters today, one for the pets. So we can filter pets by clicking on the admin panel specifically. Same thing with appointments, only that in appointments we have a few more filters to work with. The clinic, the doctor, the status. One other thing that I wanted to do, because there is one piece of code that I really didn't like last week, and that's the tab filters on the schedules, which has a lot of queries in it. But I thought that maybe we could install something that let us know if the queries in our application are getting out of control. So we are going to install Laravel Telescope, which is a very handy tool that you can use locally. So that you can use locally to basically get stats for your application, queries, requests, data dumps, etc., and have it all running on your machine, so you can keep an eye on things. It's kind of like the debug bar from Laravel, except that it's a completely separate panel. So we're going to take a look at that. And let's see, and then after that we are going to work on the owners panel, and we are going to do test-driven development. These are the all of the test cases that I could come up with based on the documentation from Filament about testing. So this is what we are going to test today. But before that, let's get this few things out of the way. Would it be possible creating API project that use Filament for admin panel? Yes, it is possible. Although there is no planning, there are no plans for me to create an API on the live streams that I'm doing because the project doesn't really call for it. It is possible, yes, but it's not planned on this stream. Maybe on a future stream or a future video, I can showcase creating an API project that uses Filament for the admin panel, but not on this stream, or at least not on this pet clinic project. All right, let's open the. We're gonna work with the pet resource on the admin panel. So let's open pet resource. And we are going to add a few filters here. And the first one is just to filter by clinic. Sorry for that. So let's check the documentation about filters, first of all. This is on the table builder. Filters, yes, I know. What kind of filters do we have? So we just do filament tables filter, and then filter make, give it a label, and then we pass in the query for that filter. So in our case, we want to filter by clinic. Is there a way to select a clinic? Filter is feature customized in the filter form. By default, creating a filter with the filter class will render a checkbox. That's not what I need. I need a, well, no. If it's a checkbox, it's going to have like checkboxes for all of the clinics, I suppose. But I need something like a drop down. Using a toggle button, no. Applying the filter by default, no. Select filters, here we go. So we create a select filter with options. Hi Belaura, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us on this Sunday. So yeah, let's try this. Select filter with options, and the options are going to be all of the clinics. So let's try that. This is in filament table filters. Just want to make sure that that's imported up here. Filament tables. So I guess what we can do is tables filters, select filter, make, and we have to make this for the column that we are trying to filter to, or filter by. So in this case, it's going to be clinic ID. And then we provide the options. Now for the options, let's try this. It's like providing the options for a normal select. So let's do a closure here. And then use the clinic model. And let's do maybe pluck right away. Name and ID. Will that work? So if I go to pets, yes, we have a filter here. And if we use it, we have the clinic ID. I have to change the label of that. Oh, by the way, if by any reason you think that the sound, my voice is a little too low, this is a new mic, so I'm trying it out live. So if the sound is okay, just let me know. I just don't want to be too low of a volume today, because that was the problem with the other mic, that I for some reason it wasn't a good mic. So every time I just tilted my head like this, it will just go up and down, and it was so distracting. So this is a new mic and I'm trying it out. So this seems to be working. So if I filter by, let's say, Salt Lake City, that didn't work. There was at least one pet with Salt Lake City. It looks like it's not really filtering, it's just thinking. That's weird. Thank you. So it's not really doing what I'm asking it. What do I have to do here? That's so strange. So do I have, maybe I still have to use the query? Let me check. Using a ternary, no, none of these is what I'm looking for. Let's go back up a little. Let's try using a query. Maybe it's because I'm not using a query method on the filter, and it's just not applying any kind of filter. So let's just do query. This will be a closure that takes in a builder. But how do I know which option did I select? When the checkbox is checked, the query function will be applied to the table's query, scoping the records in the table when the checkbox is unchecked. What about using the relationship between pet and clinic? That's what that's what this is supposed to do, because I still think that it's not applying the query because it didn't have none, but supposedly, let's say I just do a filter here. This by default is going to give me, so I don't need options. This by default is going to give me a list of checkboxes for all the clinics that are in the system, I guess. So let's quickly remove this. If I just do that, what do I get? By the way, let's send this post. Doesn't do anything. this, if you use filter in the examples from the documentation, when you use this filter and you apply a query, it's because you already have in mind what kind of query you're going to do in the table. Relationship clinic name. Yeah, let's do that. Let's try that. So go back a few steps, select filter. Instead of this, you mean using relationship. This will be clinics. Actually, this is belongs to many. And title attribute will be name. So I'm guessing I'm gonna get the select again. Yeah, we do. But here's the problem. If I select one, I expect that if I select the pet, the Salt Lake City clinic, there is one pet in it, and it works. Okay. Thank you. That was the problem. I was using options when I should have been using the relationship. So thank you very much. Okay, that worked. Although since technically a pet can belong to many relationships, this should be a multi-select, right? So let's do that. Minus select filters, preloading. So we just make it multiple and then preload. Yeah, let's do that. So let's make this multiple and preload. So if I select both in this case, oh, here we go. Okay, if I select both clinics, then it's going to give me pets that belong to either one or the other or both, which is fine. Let's change that label. I don't like. All right, that's good. All right, perfect. I think that takes care of this filter. Now let's go and filter appointments by clinic, doctor, and status. So the appointment table has a clinic relationship, doctor relationship, and it does have a column named status. Which I do have an enum class for it. So that'll be interesting. Let's see how we do that. Let's take care of the clinic and doctor first because those are easy. Let's try tables, filters, select filter. This is a belongs to relationship, so a simple select will do. Clinic, and here we do again relationship, clinic, name. Let's try that one. Okay, that one worked. Now let's do doctor. We do another relationship, this time on the doctor relationship. Again, that is belong to. And the name is name. Title attribute is name. All right, let's try that too. So we can filter by clinic still. And now we can filter by doctor. I don't like that I have, well, I don't know if I should have admin here, even though he's part of the users, he's not really a doctor. So we should use the options in this case. Or modify query using. So we can filter. This expects a query, right? And then we can say query where let me think. How do I filter a relationship? Blanking out here. Yes, where role is doctors, but I don't want to do where role ID. I don't want to go with role ID. I'm trying to filter by using the relationship. Hold on, there has to be something in the docs. I'm just forgetting right now. Oh, here. That's so easy. See, sometimes my mind just forgets things that should be like embedded in my memory. Like, how do you query a relationship? Just call the relationship with parentheses and then add a where query to it. So in this case, we call doctor where name doctor, like that. Yes. Hold on. And I don't query the doctor, I query the doctor role. Just 1 second. Yeah, that's gotta be the reason. We overcomplicate things. So this query here, it's a query for the doctor relationship. So I'm not actually querying doctor, I'm actually querying role. Because this is a select that is going to give me users. Users that have a role relationship. And on that role, I want the name. The name? Hold on. I had it here. In that role, I want the name to be doctor, but the D is lowercase. Hi, Oliver. I forgot to say hi. How you doing? Thank you for being here and for participating as well. All right, let's give this a try. No. Call to undefined method, element the database eloquent builder role. Okay. So this doesn't work. Is it because I'm doing the builder here instead of, I don't know. To the documentation. Yeah, I have to use a builder there. What happens if I do this? It's not the right way, but I just want to test something. Yeah, role ID works. I don't like it though. because I have to have a magic number there that doesn't mean anything. So I guess what I would do is, just to get this out of the way, I can just get the role ID here, doctor role. Oh, no, I can't do that. Can do that here. That's an array. So I'll probably just do it up here. Hey Shane, my man, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Hey buddy, not hanging out, but I want to know. Yeah, just that's enough. That's more than enough. Thank you for showing up, dropping by, saying hi. That's enough for me. This yeah. I downloaded a bunch of YouTube music that I thought was relaxing enough for the stream. I don't know what's playing right now, but I'm glad you like it. Laura, hi, how you doing? I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you doing? What about use role name? Yes, that's I think if I can't use it directly here, I have to use the role name. So let's just do role, doctor role ID. Hopefully it doesn't complain. If so, I'll have to use the doctor role here. It did. Property ID does not exist. Really? Because I'd have to do get. What are you talking about? Watching me stumble in the stream, you mean? This is so fun. Sometimes things go just according to plan. Sometimes everything goes haywire and I forget everything, and it is super entertaining, I guess. I hope. I mean, the last thing I want to be is boring. Come on, baby. There you go. That's working. All right. I was just trying to add a filter for a doctor here, but I had 3 roles. One of those was admin, and I just wanted to filter out that admin role from this list of doctors or users. That's a user table. So I had to do some querying here, modify query using on the select filter for the relationship doctor. But I was having problems with the query because I can't query a relationship directly on the query builder. So I have to go back up, get the doctor ID from the role table, and then I can use that doctor ID to query the relationship doctor directly on the ID. So that's what I was trying to do. Mission accomplished. Not sure it's the best way to do it, but it's working. So now I just have 2 doctors here, and I can filter by one of them, and that'll filter the table. Good. Yeah, Belaud is right. When are the streams coming back? In a point of sale, that'll be awesome to see. I would definitely watch that. Paxi, good to see you here, my friend. Thank you for being here. I love it that I love to have new people on the stream always. And what we are doing here, if you haven't watched any of the past streams, this is the number 11. We're basically creating a fictional pet clinic, or a vet clinic, veterinary clinic, for using Filament version 3. And right now we are on the admin panel. Right now we have 2 panels, one for admins and one for doctors. And right now we're just finishing up a few things on the admin panel, like filters. Sorry. And then after this, we're going to move on to writing test cases, or using test-driven development for the last panel of the project, which is the owners panel. You can also have a private function in your Filament class that returns the doctors, and call that function. That's a good idea. The project is actually public right now. If you check the comments on this video, there is a link to the GitHub repo where you can get the project as it is as of last week, with the updates from last week. So you can check the code, and yeah, it's basically open. It's public. And while you're going down there, don't forget to click that like button. It's right there. Yeah, no, I totally agree. In fact, that is another very likely candidate for rework on the code, because there are a few things. So you mean that I could have a private and just call the private method here instead of this builder, or just call the function in here? I would say just call the function like this. Doctors. Something like that, right? Doctor's query, doctor something. Yep. I'll mark that for rework. What programming language do you know? Mainly PHP. That's my main language. I know a few, like I know Vue.js, JavaScript in general, HTML, wink wink, and a few others, but my tool of choice, my language of choice is PHP, and my framework of choice, Laravel, and now I use Filament for building panels. Okay, the last filter here is status. And this is going to be interesting because now for the status, let's say tables, filters, select filter, make. status. Now the status is a string column, but I'm casting that as an enum, and I do have an enum class for this. So I'm curious to see if I use options and then I pass in the enum class, appointment status class. I'm curious to see if that's going to give me the options first, and second, is it going to filter by status? Thank you. I'll see you around too. Sorry, let's save that and let's see what we get. So we do have the statuses here, and we have one confirmed and one created. So if I just filter by created, and that works. Out of the box. Perfect. Oh, in case you're new and you don't know what I'm talking about this class here, this is an enum class that I use for the status column in the table. The column itself is a string, but I cast that string as an enum class directly in the appointment model. Right here, when you cast the column as an enum class, then Laravel knows that it has to use the value from the column and match that value to an option in the enum class. And when you have an enum class and you implement the has label, then Filament takes care of using that enum class and properly display the labels on tables, select inputs, etc. I also have a has color just so that it can properly display badges in tables with different colors using this match statement here. So when it's created, it's a warning color. When it's confirmed, it's success. And when it's canceled, it's danger. Walter, hello guys. Attendancy from Brazil. Great to have you here. Oh my God. Losing my voice. So excited. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. I've been recently watching a few streams from this guy. I forget his name. He's from Brazil, and I think he's part of the core Filament, part of the Filament core team. Let me see if I can remember his name. Leandro Ferreira. He has a great he's very active on the Filament Discord server, and he has a few live streams too where he creates stuff in Filament. They're in Brazilian and Portuguese, but they have I watched them because of the captions, but he has a great YouTube channel. If you don't know about him, just go ahead and look for him in YouTube. Okay, so we have this appointments filtered by clinic, filtered by doctor, and filtered by status. Okay, this is going to be fun. As I mentioned at the start, I have a few places in my code that I don't really like and I want to rework because mainly they create a lot of queries. And I know that in my head because I can see it in the code, and this is going to be a query, this is going to be another query. So I can, in my mind, say that's going to be a problem. But sometimes you don't really see it and you don't know how many queries your application is generating. So it's useful to have a tool to analyze everything that's happening on your application in the backend. And that's what Telescope does. So we are going to install Laravel Telescope as a way to get stats on our application locally. Let's look for the documentation for that. It is included as one of the packages in the Laravel documentation. And we are going to follow the instructions for installing it. So we just do composer require. Telescope. All right. Now we do PHP Artisan Telescope install and Artisan migrate because it does have a few tables to store information about the requests, queries, etc. So let's first do Artisan Telescope install. And then PHP Artisan migrate. That failed because, oh no, I already have a notes table. Well, hold on. Is it a create notes table? Maybe it's trying to create a table that it already exists. Why is it doing that? I hope it's not a conflict of table names between Telescope and a table that I already have. Because there is no Telescope prefix on this table. Let's see. It did create the Telescope entries table though. Okay, we are going to continue because I think that's just a problem with my migrations, where my notes table is just trying to recreate itself for some reason. So let's try and continue with the installation. Or should I just roll back? I don't like this error. I could just recreate the whole table, but if I do PHP Artisan rollback, it's just going to roll back the Telescope table, which is fine. Yeah, I guess I'm gonna have to live with that for now. All right, let's keep going. We'll worry about that later. So migration customization. If you're not going to use Telescope default migration, you should call the Telescope ignore migration. No, I'm actually going to use that. Or we can publish the migrations. No, not really. Although I do want to see what migrations are there. If it's just one, I'm going to do this vendor publish just to see how many migrations do we have. So it's they are in database migrations. Let's go and check that. Database migrations. So yeah, we only have one telescope table migration, and that's fine. Why is my notes? Oh, I see why. See this problem here? There is a discrepancy on the nodes and the appointment nodes. So it's trying, when it's executing this, it's creating a nodes table, but when it try to roll back, it's not deleting that nodes table. So that's probably the issue. So what if I just roll back again? And one more time, because the last migration I ran was for that nodes table. There you go. Now I do migrate again. And it still fails. Why didn't you delete the table? Weird. Oh well, all right. I'll fix my migrations later. There is a problem with the nodes. There was a problem with the naming in the nodes migration, and that's preventing me from running. It's not preventing me from running new migrations. It's just that annoying error in the migrate command. But for the telescope migration, I think we're good. So let's keep following the installation steps for telescope. After running telescope install, you should remove the telescope service provider registration from your application. So let's do that. config.app.php. Let's remove this because we want this to run locally only. So that's why we're removing this here. And then we are going to register this service provider only if the environment we're running in, it's local. And that's what this piece of code does. If app environment is local, then we register. Why is this? Yeah, there is a problem with this documentation. It's registering the same class twice. I don't think that's supposed to be that way, but still. I'm going to copy this. And then I'm going to go to app service provider. No, actually, there is a telescope service provider here. Oh, okay. This is already scaffolded for us. Cool. So I do want telescope night. That's dark mode support. Awesome. So we have the dark mode. We have dark mode. Then hiding sensitive detail requests. Hide sensitive request details. This is just so that there are no passwords or any sensitive information that you have marked. It will not be displayed. In case you want to run this on production, for example. Now telescope filter incoming entry. If this app environment is local, then return true. So what this is doing basically is if we're in local, then report everything to the stats table. If we're not local, apparently we just return true if it is if it is a reportable exception, if it is a failed request or a failed job or a scheduled task or has been tagged as monitored. Oliver Van, hi Oliver. I already say hi, sorry. You work as a developer for your day job? I do. I have a full-time job as a PHP and Laravel developer. And yeah, that's my 9 to 5. And my YouTube thing, it's like a hobby on after work and on the weekends. Well, I don't really want it to be a hobby. I'm trying to make it as a full-time thing. But for now, I do have a full-time job and I love it. All right, so we have a telescope service provider here. Then we should just leave it as registered in app service. Well, we should not remove it then from app. We should just leave it like that. I think the documentation is a little outdated because what we want to do is just run this locally. Well, it's gonna run, not gonna just run locally, but if it is in production, it's not going to report everything. It is kind of tiring to do full-time job and other writing or producing videos. I'm not gonna lie, it is a little tiring at some point, but the thing is, when I love programming, I love coding. I would do it even if I don't have to be doing it. I mean, even if I don't get paid to do it, I would do it anyway. So it doesn't really feel like a tiring thing. It is tiring. You feel tired. You feel mentally tired at the end of the day, but it is, as you say, a good tire. You feel it's tiring, but it's a good tiring because you're doing something that you love and it doesn't feel like a job or like a chore. It's something that you do. You get tired, and at the end of the day, you're tired, but you still have a smile on your face because you're doing something that you love. So yeah, I'm not going to remove it from here, from the app service, from the app.php configuration. I'm going to just leave it like that and then just keep going. I don't need this. And then finally, you should also prevent the telescope package from being auto-discovered by adding the following to composer.json. I don't know if I want to do that though. Because again, the telescope service provider is making sure that it's taking steps to prevent from reporting everything if I'm not in local. So I'm okay with being auto-discovered. Okay, configuration. There is a telescope enabled tag or a telescope enabled config option in the .env file that is going to be true. And then it's going to be enabled. So this will allow me to enable or disable telescope in production if I wanted to. And there is a section for data pruning as well, because when you're constantly running stats, the table for telescope is going to start growing a lot. So it is recommended that if you're going to keep doing stats and keep using telescope for a long time, that you schedule a telescope prune command to run daily so that the stats table will be pruned every day. Now let's move on to dashboard authorization. The telescope dashboard may be accessed at the telescope route. By default, you will only be able to access this dashboard in the local environment. Sorry. Within your app provider's telescope service provider file, there is an authorization gate definition. This authorization gate controls access to telescope non-local environments. Let's see. So in the telescope service provider, there should be a gate somewhere. Yeah, here it is. So function gate, view telescope. Okay, so if we're not in a local environment, this is where you would define who has access to the telescope dashboard based on the user email. We can configure this on any other conditions. Right now it's just if the user email is in the array of values, for example, Arturo at admin, for example. If the user email is within that value or is inside this array of values, then you would have access to the telescope dashboard on a non-local environment. Local environment, then you can access the telescope dashboard, no problem. I used to work as a Laravel developer till April last year. Then I got in a serious... Oh my god, I'm so sorry to hear that. Now 6 months further, I got fired and now I have to do my last 12 weeks. I'm so sorry to hear that, really. I can't imagine the situation that you're in right now. Don't give up on your passion though. Even if things get hard a little bit or a lot, just keep your passion alive as much as you can and as long as you can. Hey Tutu, I have an out of context question about notifications in Laravel API. I have a Laravel ERP API and it is consumed by different front ends. I want to add a notification system to it, like a user deletes a product or approves a comment and stuff like that. Do you have any idea about a package I can use or method to handle it? I don't have one off the top of my head, but do write a question on the Discord server and I can do a little research. Whenever I think of packages and API, I immediately think of who's this guy? Treble or something like that. But I don't have an answer for you right now. But if you pose a question on the Discord server, maybe on the is this Filament related? Or just Laravel? In the Laravel technical help questions or technical help channel, if you pose that question there, then I can give you a better answer once I do a little bit of research. Yeah, Oliver, from the bottom of my heart, I feel you, and it is a terrible situation to be in. I can't even relate to that, but yeah. I am working on React in my current contract. My apologies. Sorry, didn't mean that. I used to use React before I got into Vue, and yeah, I can't go back. But I understand that React is very, very popular. It's just not for me. All right. Let's keep going. So we have all of the steps in the configuration section, and now we should be able to just visit. I'm hoping. If we do localhost, let me open this in a new tab real quick. So localhost 8000 telescope. There you go. It's working. Whoop, whoop. Vugar, hi from Baku. Where is that? Ooh, so ignorant. Sorry. But thank you for being here and I appreciate you showing up. Hey, don't dish on React. I know it's not for everyone, but it's a very popular language. Ew, React. The one thing that I have against React is not that it's not a good language, because it is, and it does a lot of things. And React Native, I actually, when I was using React, is because I wanted to create a mobile app. So I started doing React Native, and I got along pretty well. It wasn't advanced, but I did get along and had a mobile application running, and it was very basic and simple. But I felt accomplished that I could actually get one running. The one thing that I don't like about React is that it takes so much code to do simple stuff, or maybe I was just using it wrong. I don't know if it has changed in the last year or so. But yeah, it was the thing that when I started using Vue instead, I just fell in love with it and I stuck with it. Frankly, I love React and I could not understand Vue, so yeah. Yeah, to each their own. If you're comfortable with one language, that is completely acceptable. Thank you. I posted the question in the Discord server. I will look at it later today. Just kidding. I know, we're just kidding around here. We're all friends. Don't worry about it. All right, so we have Telescope running. Look at that. And it's on beautiful dark mode. And let's try a request so you can see it in action. Let's go to the, let's just refresh the appointments. If we do that and we move on to the telescope, we can see one request here for that route. And we can analyze that request here. Everything that happened in it. What the payload was, what the headers were, session variables, what the response was, etc. And more importantly, I can see the queries that were executed on that request. And that's what I'm mostly interested about. Hamad, hi boss, how you doing? Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. So many people in here. I love it. So yeah, I want to make sure that my queries don't get out of control. And for this request alone, there are 11 queries. One for the username and the roles. Relationship queries, a lot of them. But yeah, 11 queries. Now, if we instead, is there a section just for queries in here? Yeah, there is, right here. So these are all of the queries, not just for that one request, but all of the queries that are being executed on our application. Now I'm curious, if we move on to schedules, was it? Yeah, see how we have these queries up here? I wonder, in this request for schedules, how many queries did we run? Only 7. Okay. So that means it's not that big of a problem. The code is ugly, but it's not running a query for each day. This is the query that filters by the current day of the week. So if I go back here and then I click on Monday, that's another request. It was a request to Livewire update. And on that request, we have another query for that specific day of the week. So yeah, I thought it was going to be a much bigger problem. And let me show you what I mean in the code. If we move on to the schedule, actually it's in the list schedules. Yeah. Oh, what happened to this code? Why is it not here? Well, that's strange. That's weird. I thought I merged all of those changes last week. Hold on. Now I'm curious. Yes. I'm actually... if I can figure out the changes for the tabs. So what happened is last week we changed the code on those tabs. And I'm positively sure I merged those changes before the stream, but I'm not seeing those right now. So I'm just going to check on what happened to that merge. And if I can't figure it out, I'll just I just won't do any rework on this code and then just move on to the Pest tests, because yeah, I don't want to take too much time on just reworking. Let me go real quick to GitHub. Pull requests closed. Yeah, this is the one for the past live stream. List schedules. Yeah, what the heck? See, right now all I have is this line in the current code, but I merged these changes here, which added another query function to that line just for the badge. So I lost the badges too. That sucks. Real quick, what happens if I do, let's no. Maybe I didn't do a git pull of the main branch before I branch it off to live stream 11. Thought I did, but maybe I didn't. So yeah. There are some new code from last week that is not right now on the main branch, and I'm going to figure out what's going on with that off camera. But right now, let's just move on to the new thing, which is testing. And I'll do the rework next week. At least we know that it's not going to be that much of a problem, because I thought that for each day, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, there was going to be at least 2 queries on each tab, but I think it's just going to be 2 queries every time we look at one tab. It's not going to run all of the queries for all of the tabs at once. So it's not going to be too much of a hassle or too much of a problem on the database side. It does look ugly, so I'm going to fix that, but I'll do that next week. And we already know how to use Telescope, which is a very handy tool. I'm going to close this for now. Go back to the documentation. And let's focus on testing now. Install Laravel telescope, done. I'll leave this for next week. And let's move on to test-driven development. So this, as I mentioned in the beginning, these are the test cases that I have, that I could think of just for the pet resource. We're going to start with the pet resource on the owners panel, and we're going to drive that resource with test-driven development. So the first thing that we need is a resource, or a new panel, actually. So let's do PHP artisan make filament panel, and let's call it owner. Whoa, owner. What's going on? OWNER. It already exists? Okay, all right. Do we have anything on that panel? I don't think I have an owner login, or do I? Let me check. So for the owner panel, we don't have any resources. All I have is a registration page that I created. So let's see if that still works first. Let's switch to the owner panel. Let's sign up for a new account. Okay, that's working. Perfect. We have an owners panel. I didn't have to create one. I already have one. It doesn't have any resources, but we're going to fix that right now. So, first of all, let's make sure that we have Pest installed, because we are going to use Pest to create our test cases. And we don't. So that's the first thing. So installation, zoom in a little bit. Let's do a composer require pest PHP pest with and let's put it in the dev section with all dependencies. All right. Next, we have to run pest init. I already have an alias for pest, so I don't have to use vendor bean pest every time. So I can do pest init like so, and it created or modified. It was trying to create a PHP unit.xml, already existed. It did create a test pest.php file, and there was sorry. Why don't we, instead of doing this, because I'm guessing there are some things that I need in the created file that the current ones don't have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete the PHP unit.xml, the test case, and the example ones, just so that we can see what PHP init actually creates. If we compare to those that we have right now, if we go to test, what is it? Feature, example test. The ones that we have right now are typical test cases that are not created with Pest. This is just a PHP unit test. So what I want to do is I want to recreate this file, and it will give you an example of an example of how a Pest test looks like. So I'm going to delete this one, delete the one in unit, and I'm going to also delete the php unit.xml file, just so that Pest can create one for me that is tailored to the Pest experience. Okay, so now let's run Pest init again. There was one file that it didn't create, which was test Pest. Okay, missed one, which is test case. Let's delete that one as well. Run Pest init again. Ooh, not good. What happened? All right, let's undo that. I'm guessing this was created by Pest init and I just deleted it. So yeah, let's compare what we have right now. So PHP unit.xml doesn't look that much different. I do want to use an in-memory database for SQLite, so I'm going to uncomment these two lines here and save that, and then we can compare the test case file here. Nothing out of the ordinary. The one that I do like is this one, pest.php. So this file, first of all, uses the base test case class in the feature folder. And in memory one. So you're referring to this file? Maybe there was a delay in the chat, but yeah, I want to use an SQL database, SQLite database, but I want that database to be in memory. That's why I need this line here, so that every time I run my test cases, it's going to create a database in memory, run my migrations, run my test cases, and then delete that database. All right. And since I want to do that, there's one line here that is commented by default, that is the refresh database trait for the helper class. And I do need that, so I'm going to uncomment that right away. This is what allows me to run my database migrations before running my test cases. There is an example here where you can basically extend your expectation API and create your own expectations in Pest. And you can have your own functions here. So yeah, it's a very good example. And in the feature test case example, we have a properly formatted Pest test case. Okay, cool. Let's start with our own. I'm going to delete the ones that are from the example, just so that we don't have any extra test cases. And then I'm going to create my own test cases for the owner panel. To create a new test, we just do PHP artisan test or Pest test actually. And let's call this one pet resource test. It is very important that you add the word test at the end of the class name, otherwise Pest is not going to know that this is a file that has to be executed as a test. No need for the .php. What? Am I doing it wrong? Writing tests. Was there not a command, an artisan command for creating tests? I think there was. Yeah, there is Pest test. What happened? Am I missing an installation step? That's so weird. All right, let me just close this real quick. That is so strange. I was pretty sure there was an artisan command for Pest. Probably when you install a new project right now, it does ask you what the test infrastructure you want. So that's why the command is not here right now. So it's all right. I'll just write the test myself. There is no problem. It's just a matter of creating a new file in the feature folder called pet resource test. And here we can do it. And then we write the function for the test. This has to be a PHP file. All right, so the first test that we want to run is a series of smoke tests. And smoke tests basically are just tests that the intention of those is just to make sure that, as you know, it's just the most basic test that you can run on the application, which is just render a page on the screen and that you get a 200 response in return. Oh, thank you. PHP artisan make test PHP. Okay, thank you. I'll try that for the next file. So a smoke test, the reason they're called smoke tests, by the way, is because the intention is that you can turn something on, and if it's throwing smoke, then there is something terribly wrong with it. And that's just the intention, to make sure that you turn something on and there is no smoke coming out of it. And in this case, the first smoke test that I want to run is to, according to documentation, I just want to make sure that oh, of course. First of all, we need to make sure that we are acting as user, because everything in the owner panel, it's protected by authentication. So we need to make sure that we are acting as a user. I'm guessing the factor is going to be modified in this case. So first, let's do that first. Let me just check something in the setup. So in Pest, there is no setup. It's just a before each. And we can put that in the pest.php. I think. And then we can do this. I hope. I'm going to do a simple expectation here just to make sure that the setup method is working. All right, that works. Now let's actually run a test to make sure that the index page of the pet resource works. And the way that we do that is by using this. What we do is we do a get request to a route, and the route comes from the pet resource. The pet resource has its routes defined, and we can get the index route by using the get URL method and passing in the index route. And all I want to do is, all I want to assert is that this request is successful. Now this is not, well, this is what we're going to do. There is no arrange in this case. All we need is an act and assert. So we do get. We need to import that. You know what? There's something wrong with this test case. So I'm just going to recreate it using that command that you suggested. PHP artisan make test pet resource. Do I have to include the name test, the word test in the name? I don't. Okay, so that creates this. But it's using this get, and I think there is a function in Pest 2. Maybe not. This doesn't exist, by the way, or it does, actually. Filament resources. No, it doesn't exist because we don't have any resource yet. That's the whole reason of doing test-driven development. So the pet resource. This is supposed to be a pet resource in the owners panel, which does not exist yet. Get URL. Index, and on this I'm going to say assert okay. I think I know why I'm not getting any suggestion for the get method. It's because I installed something new and I didn't tell IntelliFence to know about it. So let's just quickly re-index IntelliFence. Well, I used the word quickly, slightly loose. Okay, there you go. Now what happens if I do get like this? Still nothing. Let's give it a try. Call to define function get. There is a function for this. I'm taking a course in Laracast about Pest. Let me just quickly check that code to have a reference. There you go. Use function pest Laravel get. What? That is unfortunate. Oh, I think I know why. I have to install the Pest plugin. Yeah, that's the problem. 1 second. Again, I'm referencing this Pest TDD, and I just want to make sure that I have the required package that contains all of those helper functions. There you go. I need the Pest PHP Pest plugin Laravel. Oh yes, added in dev. Okay. Now let's re-index IntelliFence just in case. And now, hopefully, if I do use Laravel, was it Laravel Pest? Pest Laravel. This is a use function like that. And now I can use this get function, which is shorter for this $, this get. And in my opinion, this looks a lot better. And I have a lot and I have a bunch of other helper functions or assertions, and it makes the code looks really nice. So if I save this now and run Pest again, I'm gonna make this a little bigger. Now I get the error that I was looking for, which is that the pet resource, that the pet resource doesn't exist. And we can fix that by creating a new resource. With PHP artisan, make filament resource for the pet, and this is going to ask me in which panel do you want this in, and I want this in the owner panel. I do need to import this. And again, IntelliFence is not catching that. Come on. There you go. Now I have one in the owner resource. That's the one I need. Import it, save the class, run the test again. Expected response status code 200, but receive a 302. 302 is a redirect, meaning I'm not getting logged in, apparently. Is that the problem? Let me just check. If I do this without exception handling, Yeah, it's an authentication problem. So that before each is not really working. Let's try bringing that into the test case. Let's see if this works. Instead of using the before each, I'm just using the acting as function from the Pest Laravel library or the Pest plugin. And let's see if that solves the problem. It did. Now we have a different problem. Class user not found. This is just an import. Call to a member function connection on no. This is returning null apparently, and that's a problem. Might be a migration, a factory problem. Yeah, that's what I think. Database, migrations, factories, user factory. I remember I do have a seeder. Row seeder, user seeder. See, this is the right kind of call. User factory for admin role. So let's copy this. Assign this to a user. Role not found. Still they giving me no. Why is that? Hmm. Illuminated database query builder. What? This is a little bit more complicated than I thought it would be. Let's try this. Put this in the test case class. I'm just going to follow the documentation instead of riffing on my own. Now the factory, I'm going to bring this from here into here. Just make sure that I import the role, import, I don't need to import the user. I do. Import the user, the role, and then acting as user. And then here I don't need these two lines. Let's remove this one as well. And try again. What is this? Query builder, nothing. That's so weird. Before each function, this seed model class. Model class will be the seeder class. I'm just puzzled by this builder nothing method that is telling me that I'm calling, but I don't know where. I'm guessing I can use the seeder in the setup too, like this seed. And then the seeder class It's just the default is the database seeder, which I think it'll work because that'll create a role and then I create a user. So yeah, that one will work. Still, I'm not acting as a user, so we'll solve that next. If I do Pest again, I'm back to the 302. So that's good. Now, right now, I would just have to select how many users am I creating? Just one, the admin, right? So let's go to test case again. If I do that, I'm acting as an admin, because there's just one user. Whenever I see the database, there's just one user, which is the admin. So I should not see a 302. The admin has access to all of the panels. Okay, that works. I don't like it much, and I'm going to refactor it because I do need to I need to be acting as an owner as well at some point. So I'm going to modify the database seeder, the user seeder actually, to create not just one admin but also an owner. So let's use owner role. And then here I'm going to create another user. For the owner role, perfect. Thank you, Oliver. You're being very, very helpful. I love it. And I definitely need it. Now in the test case, I can just have a few prepared. So admin user equal to user where name admin and then the owner user So I'm guessing I'm not going to do the acting as here because sometimes I need to choose which user I want. So why don't we create a new function. I'm just going to put this in public properties. I'm not going to call acting as from here. Let me see if this works. So in the test, I choose what user I'm going to be. In this case, it's going to be the owner, which should have access to the panel. And then I call the get resource. I call the index URL on the pet resource and I assert that everything is okay. Okay, I'm getting a different error. It used to be a 302, now it's a 403. And 403 is unauthorized. Yeah. Is 403 unauthorized? It is, right? What happens if I choose the admin instead? It passes. So there is an authorization problem with the owner in the owner's panel. The admin user has access to the admin user has access to the owner's panel, but not the owner, and that's a problem. So let's fix that. This should be a problem in the can access panel method on the user model. Don't need this, don't need this, don't need this, nor this. So let's open the user model. Huh, interesting. We do have the can access panel here. This means that the admin doesn't or should not have access to the owner panel, only to the admin panel. That's interesting. Let's check the database either again. What is going on here? Yeah, it is an owner. Okay, instead of DDing here, I'm more interested in DDing what's happening on the can access panel here. Oh, that's, well, yeah. Yeah. This should return true because the owner panel get ID, unless the panel get ID is somehow not right. Let's try that. Panel get ID. I see. So the panel ID is admin, which the owner should not have access to. Why am I getting the panel admin when I'm trying to access the owner panel? Not this. Let me see. Filament. App providers. Filament. Owner panel provider. The ID should be owner. What's going on? This is very strange. Let's check the pet resource real quick, which is app filament owner pet resource. What happened if I try to visit the, yeah, right there. Okay, I have that still. Let me delete it. This is quite the predicament. I'm trying to test that I can log in as an owner to the owner panel. But when I tried that, the ID of the panel that I'm getting back is the admin panel, which makes absolutely no sense. What URL do I get when I do pet resource get URL? Why? Why are you taking me to the admin pets? Dear Lord. I'm gonna try like this, because it makes absolutely no sense that I'm trying to visit the index route on the pet resource on the owner's panel and I'm getting the admin route back. Okay, that passes. If someone can explain that to me, I would be very grateful, but this makes no sense. I'll try to figure it out off camera why it's giving me the wrong link, but for now this works. I mean, if I can visit the owner pets, technically I'm visiting the resource, the pet resource on the owner's panel. And if everything is okay and I'm logged in as an owner, that works. And if I'm logged in as an admin, it should fail. And it does. Okay, so that's doing what I'm expecting it to do. It just took me way too long to get there. So I'm gonna mark this as passing, but I do have to figure out why it's not working with the resource class itself. Let's try now with the create page. So I just need to make sure that I am able to render the create pet page on this resource. So I'm just going to copy all of this. Rename the test to create. It renders the create page. Acting as an owner, visit owner pets. And the route should be create. Let me make sure. Yep. Okay, those two are passing. And finally, hey Virgil, how you doing? Thank you for joining. Just came back from my trip, still unpacking. Oh, great! How was the trip go? How did the trip went? You must be really tired from all the driving. All right, so I have the index, I have the create page. Now let's test the edit page. Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I'm glad you're back, and I'm glad everything went okay for you. Now for the edit page, the get route is expecting a pet. So in this case, we should follow the documentation as always. List pages, done, table. We're gonna test this later. I'm just in the smoke test. Create, route, and render. Validation, edit, routing, and render. So yeah, I need to create a pet. I'm guessing I'm going to need a factory for it, which I don't have. But let's write the test first and then let the test drive the development. So let's say we want pet factory. Create. And then in the pets, we're going to need to pass a record, right? Now this is not working for me right now, so I have to use the route instead. And all of the routes need a record. So I'm guessing I'm going to have to replace record with the record ID, which is not ideal, but again, I'll figure this out later. Do expect this to fail because I don't think I have a factory. Class pet not found. Do need to import that. Yeah, we don't have a pet factory, so let's create one real quick. How much time do we have? We have a few minutes. Now, what is the problem? Integrity constraint violation. Pet's name. So we need to modify the factory because right now we are not inserting anything under the pet's name column. So let's open pet factory. And under pet name, let's do fake name. And let's do the rest. Actually, no. We need to keep testing. Get a different error and then keep coding. So now the error is on the date of birth. Do fake date. Now we have pets type. And let's use the enum for this. And now it's passing. All right. So we can render the index, the create, and the edit page. And that's a very good starting point. So let's mark this as passing. And yeah, it took me a little bit longer than I wanted to just to get started, but at least we are moving forward now. And two things that I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out what's happening with the routing on the resources. Why is it giving me the wrong route on the right resource? I'll do that off camera and I'll share the details on my Discord page. And we will move on next week with the rest of the testing cases and then come up with new test cases for the rest of the resources. So we're going to leave it here for now. I hope you enjoyed the live stream. If you did, don't forget to leave a like on the video so that everyone can see it. And I'll see you next week. I'll see you in the next one.